Right, all right. Let's start off by saying let's give credit what credit is due. Last night the Golden State Warriors defeated the Portland Trailblazers after getting their asses beat in the first half by like worse than 17 or even 24 at one point in time, and they came back and won the game. Let's talk about Steve Kerr and really Kenny Atkinson. I don't even want to say Steve Kerr too much. The adjustments were finally made, and they were noticeable adjustments. This is just a random part. I'm not gonna add this part of the podcast. I'm just doing this live, putting this on YouTube. Just want to talk about the coaching last night, and give kudos. I don't want to just be the guy who always just bashes Steve Kerr and his staff because they're not winning games or when they mess up and stuff like that. I want to give credit when they do right. I am a legitimate fan, so I don't want to just sit there and bash when everything is going bad and not give praises when when things are going good. So let's get the praises here today, and let's start off last night. The game against the Portland Trailblazers. I will still do the review on the podcast, but last night the Golden State Warriors win 123-105 to the Portland Trailblazers after falling behind by more than like 24 points in the first half. They ended the half only down 17, but you could tell that there was something that was said in the locker room at halftime, which made everything kind of change. Because as soon as the second half started, you could tell there was a completely different team that came on the floor. And really, I really even agree with Draymond. It kind of started really even before the half ended. The first half ended. Really, they kind of because they were down 24 and they got it down to 17 at halftime, and then was able to not only cut into the lead but take away the lead after halftime. So that was one of those things that was actually very awesome to see. Just knowing that this team can actually do what they need to do to win basketball games, especially until Steph Curry returns, until they get GP2 to return. They actually do have the available, you could say guns or the available bodies and the basketball IQ to get it done. The only thing that I would say that I probably that I say was a negative is still maybe the whole Ty Jerome thing. But some of our Golden State fans, they love Ty Jerome. The coaching staff, they love Ty Jerome. I'm not gonna say dude's a scrub or nothing like that, but you could just tell at certain times of the game when he comes in, there is a change in the game, whether you want to admit it or not. Like as soon as he came in the game last night at the 5-minute mark, they got down 20. It was like immediately once he came in the game. I don't know if it's a juju that he has to him, and some players have that. Just like a lot of fans thought that James Wiseman had that, especially at the beginning of the year, where they thought that as soon as he got in the game, that there goes the offense, there goes the defense, there goes the lead, and we're gonna look like a bottom of the barrel type of team. But in any event, it just seems like maybe that's one of the things that just Steve Kerr loves to play guys like Ty Jerome, and I think because he sees a part of himself in Ty Jerome. And I said this, but maybe 2 or 3 days ago when I was recording episode 8 of the Warriors Is Now One podcast, and then it was so crazy. Like 2 days later, my boy Alk got on his page and he kind of said the same thing where he sees that Steve Kerr sees a lot of himself in like guys like Ty Jerome and Anthony Lamb. So I thought that was pretty funny, but great minds think alike. But still, at the end of the day, let's give the kudos to Steve Kerr and his staff. Last night, in a game where they were getting their asses handed to them in the first half, they were letting Dame get whatever the hell he wanted. Everybody on this team, on the Portland Trailblazers team, was striping down jumpers, threes, mid-ranges, getting layups, getting to the cup. There was no resistance from the Golden State Warriors defense. Then it seemed like after the half, we seen the first, really, if you really pay attention and like really watch games, especially like more than once, you will see where adjustments are made, whether they're little subtle adjustments or whether they're big adjustments. And last night, one of the big adjustments that was made, and it was even, I wrote it on my paper before there was even talked about by Fitz and Buki, but I was like, ooh, it looked like they're playing a boxing one. And then instantly, then you heard Buki was like, oh, they switched to a boxing one. So that was the first glaring change that I seen, because it was a defense that Toronto played against Golden State plenty of times, and they call it the janky defense or whatever. It's not. It's actually very good defense. It's just a zone defense that I know that we used to run like fuck 95, 96, 97. Like when I was in the 6th and 7th grade, like we used to run boxing one. We used to run 1-2-2 zone. We used to run 2-3 zones. Like we used to just run these zones plays all the time in AAU and CYO. So instantly I seen it and picked up on it when we switched to it, which was a great thing because what it did is it contained Dame, and you start seeing Dame press out there on the offensive end, even on the defensive end as well, because he picked up 4 fouls in the third quarter. His 4th foul in the third quarter. But you see Dame start pressing. You see Dame start getting frustrated out there, and that was really what kind of helped the Golden State Warriors get over that threshold, because it was a long time where the Warriors were even just trying to take the lead or keep the game or tie the game up, and every time Portland Trailblazers would have a response, they would have an answer to it. But then once Dame came out the game and Clay hits the 3 from the elbow, you kind of seen that was it. It was game over. And at the beginning of the second half, I was watching on TNT, and they were talking about how, I forgot what the Dallas Mavericks had lost to the Indiana Pacers. So I wrote, hey, we have to come back and win this game in the second half. There's no way we cannot. We have to win this game, because what that does is take us all the way from the 9th or the 8th seed and brings us up to 6. So it was a win that we absolutely needed against a team that we could beat, whether we were down 24, 17, 6, what have you. It was a game that we needed. And another thing that I seen that was a big glaring change, and this was on the offensive end, the will to shoot like just 3 after 3 after 3, to just chuck them up. We seen them actually start going inside. We seen them actually start getting points in the paint. 62 points in the paint. I think that is the season record for the Warriors. 62 points in the paint. Amazing to see that. Even though, hold on, I got stats right here. You know, where they go from 3. They went 12 of 30 from 3-point range last night, which was, and you know they usually shoot like 46 of them, damn near 50 a game. So last night to only shoot 30 and to get 62 points in the paint was amazing to see. It was a great adjustment. It was actually giving credit by Draymond to Kenny Atkinson for the change at halftime. So I'm not gonna sit here and split them up and say it was Steve's idea, it was Kenny's idea. Let's just say kudos to the coaching staff for making the changes that needed to be made during a basketball game to help you strategize a win. And that's what we seen. And again, kudos, man. It was just nice to actually see them try something different on defense. Actually see the energy pick up on defense. Remember, in the first half, there was no energy. The building was kind of like whatever, you know. The players were playing shitty because it was like there was no sense of urgency. And you kind of seen the sense of urgency from Portland, because they knew how important that game is to their season as well. As far as tiebreakers, as far as seeding, all of this stuff. So seeing, and then also another thing too, Draymond went out early with it looked like a wrist injury, where he came out the game and then he went to the locker room, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought that maybe he was done for the night. But then after a timeout was called, maybe like 3 minutes later, he re-entered the game. So kudos to Draymond, man, for still playing and being able to gut it out, knowing that, you know, you're down 17 at this point in time, or really you're down 20 at this point in time, and then you come back and you help this team make a run to try to get to where you got to get to. So again, kudos.